Welcome to the Art of Likability, ranked one of the top podcasts in the world. In this podcast, you'll discover how to leverage likability to build stronger relationships, lead more efficiently, close more sales, and keep customers happy while increasing success in your professional and personal life. Let's jump in with your host, Arel Moody.
What's going on, Art of Likability family? Arel Moody here, your host of the Art of Likability podcast. This is the greatest podcast in the world. Do you know why? Because I just said it. That's how the world works nowadays. If you just say something that's true, you could just publish an article and be like, 10 ways to stop belly fat. And people are like, oh, it must be real. You know, someone said it. So I'm saying it. This is the greatest podcast on the planet. Every podcast that exists, if you put them all together, they equal 1/10 of the awesomeness that is this podcast. Why is that true? Because I said it. I got no statistics to back that up. I got no factual evidence. It's my opinion. Yes, I happen to be the host of the podcast. Yes, it happens to be mine. Yes, I'm clearly biased. But whatever. I'm saying it's the best. Who can disprove that? It's an opinion. It's my opinion. I think how about if I say that? I think it's the best podcast in the world. The greatest podcast. That's what I think. That's what I think. Who are you to tell me what to think? You can't tell me my opinion is any less valid than yours. Or maybe you're in agreement with me. If you're in agreement and you're like, yo, Arel, I do agree this is the greatest podcast in the world. That's what's up. If you disagree, you'd be like, no, Arel, I listen to this podcast that's all about making stinky cheese, and it is an incredible podcast. It's way better than your podcast. When their podcast is not on, I don't know what to do because I make stinky cheese. And if the world just made more stinky cheese, I think we'd all get along. Greatest podcast in the world. That's your opinion. Who am I to tell you your opinion ain't valid? You got a great opinion. I like your opinion. Stinky cheese, that's cool for you, not for me. I'm trying to cut back on my cheese. My dairy intake in general, I've been, my stomach, as I get older, it's like, my tongue is like, yo, that cheese is good. My stomach is like, bruh, I thought we was cool. Why would you put me through this? But I'm like, have you tasted it? And he's like, no, I don't taste it down here in your gut. I just process it, and I'm not processing it well anymore. And my tongue is like, sucks for you, loser down there. It was a great experience up here. Yeah, we're going to move on. We're going to keep it moving, people. We're just going to go on to the episode here. So, in life, the whole lactose intolerant thing, man, is hilarious. I still eat cheese. I'm phasing it down. But just let's move. I don't even want to talk about it. It's too personal. Anyway, now maybe I'll talk. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about it. But listen, I want to share an idea with you. It's a really good idea. I swear it's much better than eating dairy if you don't like to process dairy. But there was a phrase I heard, which I love, that says, if you know someone's story, it's hard to hate them. A lot of times people, who are mean, who've done mean things to people, we don't really know what's going on in their world. When I was a kid, they would always say things like, oh, bullies, they're only bullying you because they're jealous, or they're only bullying you because they're going through tough stuff. I'm like, I don't know, that bully looks like his life is pretty awesome. Maybe it's not. Maybe being a bully is their only way of feeling in control because they came from a household where their father or mother or guardian was overbearing and, made them feel bad. Maybe that's what it was, and then they just need some type of control, so they take it out. Maybe they feel like they're sucking in areas of their life. So I tend to find, actually, when people are mean to me for no reason, I just assume they're going through a horrible thing. If I'm driving in traffic and someone I had this person cut me off and give me the finger, I must have did something to them. And I had this rage build up inside of me, this moment where I was like, I want to get out of my car and smash their face through the window, right? And then I was like, what's going on in that person's life that made them feel like that was okay? So when you know someone's story, it's hard to hate them, right? So what if the person who cut me off, they just got told by their wife that she wants to divorce him. And he's walking around processing that. He's on edge, he's jumpy. Someone like that's a little more jumpy, So if I knew that about the person, I'd be like, all right, There's a story I've told before. I love it. It's a really great story of, imagine you're driving and this person, swerves in front of you, goes across 3 lanes without looking, and then like spins off at the exit without even signaling. It's easy to be like, that person's a jerk. I hate that person. I hope something bad happens like that. Like, so it's easy to judge and hate that person, right? But what if you found out that person was doing it was a mom in a car, and as she was driving, she noticed that her 3-year-old in the backseat was choking, and she was reaching in the back to save her child's life, and trying to control the car and save her child's life all at the same time. If you knew that, would you hate the person? Probably not. Not if you're a decent human, right? So what actually happens is the more we know about someone's story, the harder it is to hate them. So the way you use that in your own life is you tell more people about your story. You tell more people. Whenever I do speaking engagements to youth, and I speak to a lot of students. So if any of you listening are professors or teachers or counselors or principals, or you work in the education system, please, please, please contact my team at info@artoflikability.com. I love doing my speaking engagements to students about how they can, a big message for students is effort is everything. And about the importance of hard work. And it doesn't matter where you're from or how smart you are. With hard work, you can learn anything. You can get out of anything. And, so it's something I really care about. It's a message that's very important to me, right? And, I always share my story of growing up in the projects and growing up on welfare. I always share about how tough it was for me. I share often about how when I was 16, I wanted to commit suicide because I didn't want to live in my surroundings, and I was letting it beat me. I was letting feeling alone, win. So I talk about that a lot. And the reason I talk about it is because the more you know about my story, the more maybe we can connect. If I talk about how I got beat up and I lost a bunch of friends when I was a kid, friends who I thought would, be with me through thick and thin, and then they weren't, well, you might have a little more empathy for me. And if you have a little more empathy for me, maybe you'll connect with me. And if you'll connect with me, maybe you'll hear the message I have to say. So many of us always try to put on this perfect show, especially in the social media world that we live in. Everything is always perfect. Like, people on social media, it's like 2 extremes. It's either like everything is perfect or you hate everything. I see some people, they just like constantly sharing stuff and criticizing athletes and criticizing actors and criticizing leaders, and it's just upset about everything. And then there's other people who like their life is rosy and perfect. Extremes aren't great. Have a little realness. Like if you're going through something, be open, be vulnerable, share your story. I actually think more people will appreciate you. Now, the question that I typically get with this is, like, well, what's sharing too much? Like if I just like had a conversation where my wife was questioning if she wanted to stay in my relationship, in the relationship, do you share that? Well, it's a judgment call. I would say that the things that you're afraid to share have power over you. I would say the things that you don't share win. I went through a really tough phase, still going through it, honestly, where me and my wife, who I love very much, we're going through a tough phase. I'd love to say that we have a perfect relationship and we never get into fights, but we went through some tough things, and some things are difficult to reveal, to share. I made some choices in the past where I was not sensitive to her, and I, would scream and yell, and, those things are hard to forget. And, we still work through them, and we still work through, I've been with my wife since I was 18 years old, right? So I met her when I was 18. And, we grew up and matured together. So I wish I was someone who, from the age of 18 until now in my 30s, I was totally mature and totally amazing and about life. And I wasn't. I made bad choices in our relationship. I made bad choices in staying faithful in our relationship. And I made bad choices of, just partying and being an idiot, and I had to share those and be very honest with those. And, that was very difficult. It was very, very difficult to confront. But the confronting it and owning my past, it's not who I am now. It's something that I did years and years and years and years ago, being a jerk in many ways. But I realized that the only way I can become a better person, the only way I could be the type of husband and the type of man that I wanted to be, was I had to come face to face with where I was not doing well, and come face to face with where I messed up in my past. And, I remember I used to say to myself, everybody's got skeletons in the closet, so I just have my skeletons. And I say, you know what? I don't want to live with skeletons in my closet. I want to let it out there. So, you share that, and, sometimes you let it out or it don't go well. And my wife and I had to go through tons of work. And, even though for me, I was like, oh, this happened years and years ago. It was before we were married. It was that, right? Like, see me for who I am now. I also have to realize that, like, I have to, if I made a bed, I have to lay in it, and that's challenging. It was challenging for me to face, to talk about. But the truth is, if I realize that I made mistakes and I can own up to them, then I can be who I really want to be and not have skeletons in my closet and not be someone who's ashamed. We all have things that we feel like, well, they're part of our story, but we're ashamed. I tend to find if you have parts of your story that no longer make you shameful, then you have full power and control. The shame takes your power away. So when you share, you can say, well, what's too much sharing? Like, what's too much? I don't know. But I know if you share your story, there are going to be people who judge you. There are going to be people critical of you. There's going to be people who are going to listen to this and be like, Arel, how come you weren't perfectly amazing since you were 18? Well, I wasn't, I did what I did. I didn't do what I didn't do. But I can own up to it now. And that's the growth. The growth is being able to say, I made mistakes in my past, and it's not who I am today. And I realize why I made those, not that I made them, but also why I made my mistakes, and realize why my immaturity and my being kind of squeezed by life pulled bad choices out of me. And it does the same thing to you. Everybody's got something. Everybody's got something that they're ashamed of or that they wish they would have done differently. Our goal is to not let those things define us. Our goal is to not let those things have power over us. And one of the ways that you let them not have power over you is you share. You share. You tell people. The more you share, the more you tell your story, the more confident you become, the more real you become. So I want you to give yourself that permission. Maybe call up a friend of yours and share something you're going through that you need help and support on. Or maybe you got to get clean with somebody. If you ever hurt somebody or did something wrong in your past, don't let it be a skeleton that stays with you. If it weighs you down, if it hurts your soul, give them a holler, talk to them, be clean with them, let them know what happened. Clear it up, clean it up, get good. It's just life, man. It's just life. But the more you share, the more you connect with people, the more you show them respect and show yourself respect. And then, you actually find yourself stepping into a world of meaning that may have been missing. And maybe the meaning in your life and the depth into your life hasn't been there because you haven't shared. Because what I can tell you is sharing and being honest is a great place to be. I mean, the level of connection and depth that you feel in your day-to-day living is beautiful. And I love being in this place. And I wasn't always there. And I want to give you, a little bit of sharing of me. And hopefully you also will learn to grow from your mistakes and share with others. And I think that's beautiful. But just hearing about sharing is not going to help your life at all, okay? Just listening to me talk is not going to do anything. Implementing this information will. So go ahead and share with someone. Go find a friend. Go find a family member. Go find someone and share a little bit about your life. Share what's going on. If you need help, ask for help. If you're feeling down, tell someone you're down. If you're feeling lonely, reach out to someone you know and tell them you're feeling lonely and need some support and friendship. Being vulnerable doesn't make you weak. It means you're human. And the more you can own it and not have shame about it, the more strong, powerful, and real you become. And if you live a life where you're strong and powerful and authentic and you're actively creating the life you want, I mean, what's more awesome than that? So let me know. Let me know what you think. Leave a 5-star review if you want to share with me what you think about this podcast. And I appreciate y'all. Love you. I really do. I love putting these episodes together for y'all. I think about it all the time. I think about y'all a lot. You know, some of you I've never met. Some of you I may never meet. But I know we connect, you know, through this podcast. And it's truly a gift. It's truly beautiful for me. So thank you for being on this journey with me. I'm going to continue to put together the best information I can for you. Sending you a big old high five. You are awesome. Psh.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, The Art of Likability, and reach out with any questions you have. Until next time, remember, my friend, you are awesome.